Just reassess. Talking about the pitch, talking about the fielders in the deep, using all though outside the circle. These guys are they're not sitting on the circle.
No.
They'll be hurting after last game against Zimbabwe. Stuff and the things you pride yourself on at being a good cricket team, and we've seen today they've been really aggressive inside that ring.
Foot and back foot. There's never any hint of the bottom hand taking over. It's such an open bat place. Yet when he pulls and that, he controls it. He's going to contribute.
The other thing, I mean, this to me is not a traditional Australian batting pitch. Australia have to adjust to themselves later.
You're right. It's not one of those wickets that are coming onto the bats. Just holding more tennis. Squirt it down to third man.
And if they're sluggish decks, it doesn't actually suit their downtown hitting and their bowling attack.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's why we've got such a good record here in Australia, playing with the fast, bouncy wickets like.
Crunch. Probably in what these first 18 overs have probably saved 10 runs minimum.
Is it?
$18 overs gone, and it's 1 for 70.
Fragrant body spray.
शॉट तो बनता है.
मेरा क्रिकेट सीजन कैसा रहेगा?
छक्के लगेंगे.
पर कहाँ?
अब आपका इंग्लैंड सीरीज आएगा.
इंग्लैंड वर्सेस इंडिया.
US Open only on Sony Sports Network.
Just nailed it straight into the deck. Hit a 61-degree 6 over mid-off. Lots of snakes in Cairns, guys. Eastern browns, taipans.
They're not the carpet snakes that were in Townsville.
No, they're different snakes.
These ones.
They hurt more. These send you to hospital.
Zach was back.
Migrated to one part and
Yeah, magnetic island for the head.
not here.
Not here, no. But this is called Kazales because it's up north to the song. Just a bit of trivia. Good. I think this is a good ploy. I think Williamson and Conway, if they might have some misgivings against matchup.
Just trying to think if I'm Williamson or if I'm Finch, who's the happiest right now?
The 55 dots in that first 11 overs hurt New Zealand. There's catch up to be played, but you sense with that batting line and Conway are all about the moment. It's concentrating Aaron Finch's mind. He needs a wicket and he needs it in the next few overs.
Two and three wickets on that were right in front. But on the flip side to that, if I'm the batting team, if they can go wicketless in the next stage, both captains are pretty happy where they're at. Someone's just got to grab this moment.
So if the Black Caps can withstand Zampa in this period, they'll be well placed. It's 1 for 73.
कोई गर्लफ्रेंड के सामने शेर बन
पहले शॉट तो बनता है
Layer shot, fragrant body spray.
It's worried Kane Williamson that position. What Australia have recognised today, if they cut that shot off, he's got to take a risk to get to the other end and been able to build some dot ball pressure up.
Like that. Yeah, good point.
You feel like you've beaten him, you bowled your best ball, and sort of just taps it on its head, just pass off stump. What they've done today is block that.
Long ago, so warmer temperatures that you would perhaps expect in a place like Cairns shouldn't worry them greatly. Nice breeze going across the ground.
Controlling his bat face, not overhitting the ball.
And over, just just for a couple. Not perfectly timed, but that is the zone he's been looking to try and get. Winners for quite. Perfectly timed, but that is the zone he's been looking to try and get Stoinis for quite. Perfectly timed, but that is the zone he's been looking to try and get Stoinis for quite some.
फेयर प्ले न्यूज
खेल जा
इन खेलों में भाग फेयर न्यूज
खेल
खेलों भाग
Over mark. 36 Conway and Williamson 24. Down the ground. Has he got enough on it? It's 40 from 58. 4 fours and a 6 in there. They've set the foundation. New Zealand. Mark Warren, Nathan Lyon in commentary.
Oh, it's a good partnership. This
All of a sudden, well, you just get the feeling someone's got to go, got to start putting it down. Looking, it's got to be. What are we looking at? 250?
yeah, I think 250 is a pretty good total. This is a crucial partnership. Just through this middle period, they can probably go up 4 or 5 and over without taking too many risks.
So on that, if you're Australia, are you bringing?
I'd bring back Hazelwood, just like him through the middle here, getting that bounce. There's a predict visit. Got New Zealand at 262. They'd take that. Once the ball gets a bit softer, you can see it's, it's easier to bat. And I think they're used to. Sometimes I see a bit of Michael Bevan in Conway, the way he swings the bat and finishes his shot.
The follow through.
कोई गर्लफ्रेंड के सामने शेर बनता है, लेकिन
गर्लफ्रेंड को मिलने से पहले शॉट तो बनता है।
Clear shot, fragrant body spray.
US Open only on Sony Sports Network.
England versus South Africa. Third test, Thursday, 8th September.
Oh no, I definitely couldn't be.
But your batting has improved, Lino. I think you're one of the best sweepers in Australian cricket, actually. I know you try and sweep every ball, but it is a go-to shot for you.
Into his fourth over, none for 10. He's kept it tight, put the pressure right on Williamson and Conway. Conway,
Stoinis, how he fits into this side at full strength, because he's had a lot of injury problems the last couple of years. So his bowling's been restricted, but he is a more than useful bowler. And his batting is...
putting Stoinis opening the batting. That to me gets him in the side, because you've got Mitch Marsh coming back, you've got Pat Cummins coming back in the side as well. And then you've got Cameron Green in the side. I think the only way he stays in the side...
Seen him open and Big Bash. 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 Seen him open and Big Bash.
understanding of my development. But if I took it on, I'd then go to John Doherty. That when I joined Millwall, he said to me, "Do you like a drink?" This is his first meeting, Sam, in his office, and I said, "Well, I'm okay." And he went, "You know, you need to be fit to drink." And I went, "Oh, what do you mean?" And he went, "Well, if you do like a drink, you need to be really fit to play for me." Well, I've got to say, after his training session, Sam, I knew exactly what he meant. He would always call me, Terry Hurlock, and the goalkeeper, Brian Horn, "Come on, you three, we're doing extra training." After every training session, I'll say everyone, but any day like Tuesday before the Saturday game, we had time to recover. But he'd always work us hard Tuesday and Wednesdays, all three of us. And he just went for me, knowing that I had to be in peak condition. He argued he'd say, when you're a big centre forward, if you're slightly out of condition, you can look awkward, ungainly, and if you're not quite on the edge of your performance, you'll look cumbersome as a striker. And he was so right with me. And so many big centre forwards I've spoke to who have said, if we're not really peak condition, we just don't have the qualities that other forwards have, movement, technical ability. And I think that always rang a real tune with me about how I had to be physically.
Still to come on Up Front with Tony Cascarino. He talks about how he dealt with one fired-up Chelsea supporter.
Every time I got up, Sam, he would just go, "Oh no, sit down, not you." And he did it every time.
You're listening to Up Front with Tony Cascarino and me, Sam Matterface, on TalkSport.
TalkSport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the English Football League.
TalkSport exclusives on TalkSport 2 with 888 Sport. Made to challenge, made to debate, made to play. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Top Gun Maverick.
Are you ready?
Damn right.
Let's turn and burn.
Is coming home.
Nice.
Critics agree. Top Gun Maverick is the ultimate feel-good movie of the decade.
Yes!
Tom Cruise.
Come on!
Having any fun yet?
Top Gun Maverick in cinemas and available to download and keep.
Now streaming exclusively on Disney+.
I've got Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, the new owners of Wrexham AFC.
Welcome to Wrexham, a brand new original docuseries.
You feel like you know what you're doing?
Absolutely not. Starring Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney.
Football's more than a game to the people of this town.
There is a version of the story where it doesn't work and we are villains. It's going to work.
Welcome to Wrexham. Now streaming exclusively on Disney+. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Hear that? That's Jeff. He thinks he's missed out on Magnet's massive trade event, where there's extreme savings on kitchens, appliances and joinery. Quality laminate flooring for just £4.25 a square metre. Internal doors from £18 and savings of up to £160 on Beko appliance packs. But don't fret, Jeff. The extreme savings are on until November 30th at Magnet's massive trade event. Magnet Trade account holders only while stocks last. VAT at 20%. Full T's and C's at magnettrade.co.uk.
Your business deserves an all-in-one payments upgrade like Square Terminal. Ready right out of the box with zero training or service visits required, payments are made easier. There's no hidden fees or surprises, and you can get your money as fast as the next working day. It's time to upgrade your point of sale with Square Terminal. For 15% off the Square Terminal until September 13th, visit squareup.com. Square Up Europe Limited is authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Get connected to Classic Afternoon Radio with Hawksby and Jacobs on Talk Sport with EE. Join the sharpest strike partnership in sports broadcasting for on-target team talk and precision punditry that's always close to the funny bone. Plus, get a roundup of Talk Sport's biggest bloopers, blunders and belly laughs in the legendary clips of the week. Hawksby and Jacobs today from 1 on Talk Sport with EE. Don't miss any of the match. Connect 100 devices in your home with EE's full fibre broadband powered by BT. Limited availability. Check coverage at ee.co.uk. Talk Sport 2.
Traffic and travel.
In Somerset, the A358 is closed each way between Coombe and Bishop's Lydeard after a mudslide caused by flooding. There's a reduced rail service between Waterloo Station in London and both Yeovil Junction and Exeter St David's because of speed restrictions over an uneven track. Train services in Cornwall are suspended between Truro and Falmouth Docks because of the line-side equipment problem. And train services have been stopped between Doncaster and Hatfield and Stainforth because of track safety checks, and between Romilly and New Mills Central because of a signalling problem. Russell Holding.
Get next summer sorted with TUI. Book now and lock in next summer's holiday at today's prices. Spread the cost with a £0 deposit when you pay by direct debit. Plus, book in September and you can win back the cost of your family holiday. Next summer, sorted. TUI. Live happy. Booking T's and C's apply. Direct debit minimum 26 weeks from departure. See website for details. ATOL protected.
Talk Sport proudly presents the football results. Like you've never heard them before. Add extra sizzle to your Saturday with Talk Sport Classifieds. Football results that are first, fast and fizzy.
Welcome to Wrexham. Now streaming exclusively on Disney+. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Favouring the half volley, and he finds Sheringham. Furlock, Cascarino. Yes.
Some strikers are goal machines, some set themselves targets. One former England striker we used to work with, Stan Collymore, used to say 20 league goals a season, that's the mark of excellence. And it's what you should strive for every season. Did you set yourself a minimum target?
No, like I said earlier, Sam, that was probably one of my faults. I did that. It got very competitive with Teddy Sheringham at Millwall because Teddy was the first person to make me feel like I was in a competition. And I took it slightly the wrong way initially, but I realised Teddy was doing it to get the best out of you. You know, he was younger than me. I came as a £200,000 striker from Gillingham to Millwall with 3 years probably more experience, and yet Teddy felt more experienced. And he loved competition. If you play him at golf or you play him in anything else, if you had swimming, you know, you're on holiday and you're in a swimming race, he'd want to beat you. And I think he tried to make it competitive to get the best out of me. And that is another thing that I learnt along the way.
And Millwall was great for you, wasn't it? Promotion to the top flight, working alongside Teddy, 42 league goals in 105 games. Did it click because of your relationship ostensibly with him?
Yes, I watched Millwall, the preview call to play against, leader of the line, playing little pockets, and I was allowed to run the channel in behind and the spaces that were there because I was a lot quicker than Mark and Teddy. And that was why I felt I could play with Teddy as a forward. And look, it's easy in hindsight because we'll of course say we're being smart, but it was just a joy to know that Teddy always wanted the ball. And he'd always, do you know one thing that stood out for me as well, Sam, as well? The talking of play. Ray Houghton was a great talker on the pitch. Sometimes annoyingly, he'd drive you crazy, just keep talk. Teddy was the same. Teddy would talk a lot when you were playing.
He hasn't changed, by the way.
No, I know he hasn't. That's why
Ray's still the same in the commentary box.
Yeah, well, that's why you're doing great commentary, Sam, with him, because Ray's never short of a word. And Teddy never was on the pitch either. You always knew where Teddy was. You always knew how he wanted it. And even if he was having a bad game, Teddy was going to have a stinker because he never stopped wanting that ball. And talking was... And again, that become another thing that I added, another string to my bow as I become a more experienced player, is that how you talked and what you said when you were playing. And I think it's another asset that I think I got in my latter stages of my career.
What was the club like to play for in those days? What was the atmosphere around Cold Blow Lane? Because it was obviously a very different club to what it's like now.
Feisty, Sam. I think it's raw. Obviously on the terraces, the fans would be pretty outspoken if you had a bad time. I can remember coming up out in one of my first games for Millwall. I heard a Millwall fan as you run through the tunnel onto the pitch shout out, "Sheringham, get that piano off your back." And I was thinking, wow, that's a young lad he's shouting that at too. He's just on the start of his career. And Chetty's laughed about that since, And I remember Millwall fan give me the donkey noise as I was, literally 3-4 games in. And there was no breathing space. There was no, he's just joined the club, see how he goes. It was immediate. And so you knew what you were going to get if you was a Millwall player at that time. As much as Millwall fans could be fantastic, if you weren't playing well, Sam, it weren't going to be easy for you.
We come from the same sort of area, North Kent, South East London. Growing up in the 90s, you were sort of an ever-present in the local papers, in the national papers, on TV. Everyone in our area talked about you, the Millwall star who goes to Villa, goes to Celtic, ends up at Chelsea. Did you enjoy all the attention that brought?
Yes, I did enjoy it, Sam, but it's like all things. If you're playing well and game's easy for you and you're doing things on quite a laid-back approach and everything's rosy, it's great. If it's not, which I experienced in other moves in my... you're a Chelsea fan, Sam, and you know that there was a time when I got a bit of stick. I can remember one of my funny experiences being a centre forward and being on the bench, and there was this guy behind the dugout near the tunnel, and every time I got up, Sam, he would just go, "Oh, no, sit down. Not you. Sit down." And I would be like, I remember thinking, please, man, like Ian Portfield, who was the manager, please don't ask me to get warmed up. This guy behind me is going to just jump on me. And he did it every time. And then one day I cracked Sam. I just turned around and said to him, "Look, we'll have a word afterwards, after the match." And you know what? It wasn't in a way that we're sorted out with our fists or anything like that. I actually chatted to him and I said, "Look, I know you're giving me stick, mate. You're not..." warmed up. Sit down, Cascarino. No, Porterfield, what you doing? Honestly. But funny times.
I did have to tell Dad not to go after that.
Yeah, I know, Sam. But football's great. It's like all things. When you're winning and everything's going along spiffingly and you're playing well, everything's easy. The moment you're tested, and I got tested at Celtic, I got tested at Chelsea. Villa was a little bit strange, but
yeah,
I loved it at Villa. That period of a year and a bit at Villa, I really enjoyed it. It was just a massive transition from Graham Taylor leaving that football club, who I think would have got the best out of me, because Graham, like John Docherty at Millwall, his training sessions would have suited me because they were very tough, and I needed my backside whipped regularly, Sam. That's what got the best out of me.
And he was direct, wasn't he? I mean, let's
Yeah.
not make any bones about it. Graham would play direct, and that would suit you, would it?
Well, of course it would, Sam. Look at me with the Republic of Ireland. It suited me. We had a team of very talented footballers, yet we got things early. I had Dennis Irwin on one side, I had Steve Staunton on the other, Chrissy Morris. We had players who could deliver great balls, Kevin Sheedy, Ray Houghton. So I wanted the ball in certain areas of the pitch. I wanted to be at the far post. I wanted to try and get on fullbacks, nod things back into a danger area, or if not, go directly at goal, lead the line. And when I first made my debut for Republic of Ireland, Sam, I roomed with Frank Stapleton. And now, when you play for Arsenal and you play for Manchester United, that's a top player. That's a Van Persie. When you play for Arsenal and then Man United. So imagine for me in League One, which it is now, sitting my debut for Ireland against Switzerland, and I'm rooming with Frank Stapleton. So this is the quality I was looking at.
Still to come on Up Front with Tony Cascarino. He discusses how he bowed out of his international career in some style.
He's jumped up and then literally threw one on me, Sam, full on. I didn't expect it, but from there, it just went into carnage.
You're listening to Up Front with Tony Cascarino on TalkSport.
TalkSport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL.
Every day, TalkSport 2 probes the sharpest minds in the business, bringing you all the big-name news, views and opinions that matter. Plus, TalkSport 2's official betting partner, 888 Sport, is on hand with the insight and in-depth analysis you need to crack the big betting puzzles of the day. TalkSport 2 with 888 Sport, official betting partner of TalkSport 2. 888 Sport, made to challenge, made to debate, made to play. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
The train now arriving on Platform 1 is your 11:20 service to Up Close and Personal. Passengers travelling to the coast, heading home for a Sunday roast, or simply intending to follow their nose are reminded to wear comfy shoes, leave room for dessert, and of course, apply plenty of sunscreen. Wild weekends, Sunday surprises, anywhere adventures. Get closer to the people, places and things you love by train. Nothing beats being there.
The new iconic Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 is now available at Vodafone with an amazing deal. You can save up to £600 with unbeatable trade-in. Just trade in an eligible device using our trade-in tool. And our trade-in price won't be beaten by any other network standard prices. Now available with Vodafone Evo. Go online or in-store. Vodafone.
Ends 23rd of September. Trade-in price for eligible device in good working condition versus other mobile networks excluding promos. Terms, checks and saving info at vodafone.co.uk/trade-in.
Philip Schofield here. If you've got outstanding finance on a car you want to sell, you might think you're a bit stuck. 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 Not to worry, just bring along your final settlement agreement and We Buy Any Car will handle all the finance for you. To find out how much your car's worth in 30 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Admin fee may apply. For more information, see WeBuyAnyCar.com/info.
At LV, we've always believed our car insurance should look after your wallet just as well as it looks after your car, which is why we've made sure that you can get our cover from just £219. What's more, we pay out on 99% of claims. It could be why our customers rate us as excellent on Trustpilot. Get your quote today at lv.com. 99% of direct motor claims paid August 2021 to July 2022. 10% of new customers paid £219 or less April to July 2022.
I believe in myself and I know that I could run a successful business. My dad's not like the person that'll go, oh, I love you. And the other day he came in myself and I know that I could run a successful business. My dad's not like the person that'll go, oh, I love you. I don't hear that like the other day he came in myself and I know that I could run a successful business. My dad's not like the person that'll go, oh, I love you. I don't hear that like the other day he came in myself and I know that I could run a successful business. My dad's not like the person that'll go, oh, I love you. I don't hear that like the other day he came in myself and I know that I could run a successful business. My dad's not like the person that'll go, oh, I love you. I don't hear that like the other day he came in. I know that it's for business pools. Stage members like I don't hear that like the things I know that it's for business pools. Stage members like I don't hear that like the things I know that it's for business pools. Stage members like I don't hear that like the things I know that it's for business pools. Stage members
voices in your head, the overthinking that goes on, that ultimately, I think you believe, prevented you taking more chances. The cross would come in and there'd be something in your brain saying to you, you're going to miss this, you're going to miss this.
Yeah.
And you know how debilitating that was?
Well, it was a lot more easy to understand after I'd finished playing because I spoke about it in my book. And I can remember speaking to Sonia Sullivan, the great Irish runner, and she turned around and said to me, I had a real problem in my head when I took the lead in a race. I would think that I would fall apart once I took the lead. And I was like, wow, this happens to a top athlete. That's how I felt sometimes in games. There was a period in my career where I was not wanting the cross to come in on my right foot because it wasn't my greatest side. I didn't feel confident of getting a clean strike on the ball to score. And yeah, I said earlier, Sam, there was a period in my career I can only describe as having the yips in my game. And that was in front of goal, which is, as a centre forward, that's a pretty serious problem. You know, and of course, crowds get on your back, and I don't convert a chance that they might seem quite comfortable or have to be a professional sportsman. You should be able to bury them quite clearly. There was a game at Chelsea where a team were playing. We had a free kick out on the right, Sam, and the ball was played in, and they all pushed up, and I managed to make a run, and I found myself on the penalty spot all on my own, and everyone had run out of the team we were playing. So it left me literally on my own, it just the keeper in front of me. And I just headed it into his arms. Well, Sam, the reaction from the crowd was at Stamford Bridge was extraordinary. If they could have strangled me and run on the pitch, it was just... I remember that moment, that decision of as I'm waiting for that ball to come on me, I had an eternity to go, take it on my chest, try and place it, and I chose to try and head it first time and literally headed into his arms. It was like as if I was a defender for the opposition who just said, here, keeper, have it back. And at that moment,
And what was going through your mind?
Just that I knew I was on my own, and it was a really split-second decision. Instead of thinking, right, how do I deal with this? Do I take it down, which I had plenty of time to do? I took the easy option, was to try and head it first time with just a nothing header. And I remember thinking the negative of not having the thinking, you know, in my later period of my career, I remember thinking, right, got time. Get it on your chest, get it under control and bury it. But I didn't, at that time, I just didn't think like that. I thought, just meet the ball and head it, which wasn't the option.
Around this time, you were still featuring for Ireland regularly. I mean, you had a brilliant Ireland career. 14 international years with a side that were qualifying for all sorts of tournaments that no one ever thought that they would be able to do. 88 games, loads of goals. When the phone first rang, what did you think?
Well, I never got a call because it always come via the manager. Keith Peacock, who's the manager at Gillingham, had told me that I'd been called up for an international friendly against Spurs in a testimonial, and would I be interested? Because we had a goalkeeper called Seamus McDonagh, a lot of fans would remember, who was part of the sort of Irish setup in particular times under Martin O'Neill, and he asked me about my Irish ancestry, and I'd said that I had an Irish mum, blah, blah, blah. And so I got called up, Keith Peacock told me, and I went and played in a game, played really well against Steve Wicks, who was the centre-half that day. Terry Venables was managing the opposition, played well, and then got called up for my first World Cup qualifier against Switzerland away in the final stages of a group stage.
कैसे हम सभी लोग स्वागत है आपका हमारे YouTube चैनल IQ Guru में मैं हूं शिव और आज की वीडियो में दोस्तों हम लोग बात करेंगे YouTube की प्रॉब्लम को लेके YouTube का प्रॉब्लम ये है कि दोस्तों जब भी कोई बंदा लाइव स्ट्रीम करता है लाइव स्ट्रीम के बाद आपकी जो वीडियो है आपकी वीडियो सेक्शन में शो नहीं होती यानी पब्लिकली वो शो नहीं होती और लाइव हो जाता है एंड भी हो जाता है और वो वीडियो आपकी फंसी पड़ी रहती है वो आप किसी दूसरे एज अ व्यूअर अगर आप देखेंगे तो वो वीडियो शो नहीं होती है। तो इस प्रॉब्लम को हम कैसे फिक्स करेंगे इस वीडियो में बात करेंगे। उससे पहले दोस्तों कहना चाहूंगा अगर आप चैनल पे नए हैं तो प्लीज अपने चैनल को जरूर सब्सक्राइब करें, बेल आइकन को जरूर प्रेस करें और वीडियो को अभी
never one player that I can remember, and even the players you mentioned have never said this. We were never felt unwelcome in Ireland. There was no grievance with us representing Ireland. It was just extraordinary. Jack decided to use as many rules as he could to get players in that he felt were legible and capable, and produced a really good side. And he also had a number of very good players who were born in Ireland. So the mix between the two of us was harmony. As you know, Sam, you know a lot of players who played in that squad. We'll all tell you we got on incredibly well. Huge amount of characters. Yes, we did things and went a bit too far with the drinking at times, but it was never ever character of the team and the drive, desire to be a good side. And Jack was fortunate, he had a lot of us at the right age, which he obviously didn't by the time his Ireland manager's job was come into question, where he wasn't the manager by the time 96 come. He had an extraordinary group of squad of players, some very, very good ones in there.
तो कंटेंट में आप देख लीजिए कि आपकी जो वीडियो है, यहाँ पे दोस्तों जो वीडियो है वो शो नहीं होती है, और यहाँ पे लाइव में अगर आप जाएंगे तो लाइव में तो ये है, क्योंकि ये लाइव हुआ है, एंड हुआ है, लाइव में है। और अगर मैं इस वीडियो की आपको डिटेल दिखाता हूँ, इस वीडियो की आप डिटेल देखिए, ये जब लाइव हुई थी और इसके बाद ये अंडर प्रोसेसिंग में यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है योर वीडियो इज करंटली प्रोसेसिंग, प्लीज चेक बैक लेटर। तो ये अभी भी मैसेज आ रहा है और इसमें काफी टाइम लग सकता है अगर आप इसके सारे बैठे रहेंगे।
We played Italy in the last 8 in the quarterfinals, and I was leading the line obviously before the tournament started, and Vialli was leading their line, and me and him were both subs. And I remember looking across to him, and I exchanged shirts with Vialli after the game, and I remember thinking he was the number one starter, and Schillaci came about. He'd found himself being left out. I was a certain starter with Ireland, found myself left out and on the bench. And people, you know, managers sometimes say, Premier League football, you have 5-6 in different games, you can be left out. International football, Sam, you can have 2 and be left out. You know, I went through England, which we drew 1-1, Egypt 0-0. I was left out after that. After 2 games into a World Cup, Jack had decided to make a change.
You were massive in Ireland, and so was everybody else in that squad and those squads over that period of time. But you eventually realised that you weren't actually eligible to play for Ireland. How did you find out?
Yeah, I was on international duty. We were in Luxembourg, and I'd played about 66 times for Ireland, and we were told by the next home game we would have to produce all the documentation for representing Ireland and for our passports, because we all had to play off an Irish passport. So for me to get an Irish passport, I had to get certain certificates, you know, my mum's birth certificate. And I go to St Catherine's House in London, get my mum's certificate, and on the certificate, what she thought was her mum and dad wasn't. It was another name. And that's when the ball started rolling of, you know, my mum was actually adopted. She had a sister that was, well, I say a sister, was actually her mum. It gets confusing, Sam. Lots of people get confused. I even get confused telling this story sometimes. But she had a sister that was 20 years older than her, which she thought was her mum and dad, that now became her grandparents, because she was the daughter of what she thought was her sister. So that's how it all came about. So it was a massive challenge within the family, because my mum had to come to terms with that the woman that she thought was her sister for all these years wasn't actually her sister, was her mum. And that was weird for my mum to deal with. So it was a personal issue, more overriding, really, me representing Ireland and under the adoption laws. And when I spoke about it in the book, Sam, I tried to tell it in the stories how I felt at the time. I felt I was a fraud and I felt I was a fake, but playing for Ireland. But obviously after we went through all the rules, and I was eligible to play under the adoption laws. So my mum being adopted, my mum's called Teresa O'Malley, Sam. I mean, if you make it up, I mean, you couldn't get a more Irish name, could you? You know.
Your international career ended with a 4-match ban, a blood all over your chest and face, a scrap, and a failure to reach Euro 2000. Now, that was a proper way to go out, wasn't it? What happened?
Yeah, we played Turkey, and it wasn't a nice... The first game in Dublin wasn't particularly great. We go there, it was 0-0. We needed to get a goal to win the game and qualify. And there was a few things that happened. There was a couple of spitting incidents with a central defender who spat at me a couple of times. And I thought... this was all in my head as the game's going on, by the way.
popular, you know, not to rub it in.
Les étincelles deviennent des flammes.